Look, that darkness is going to keep getting darker. You're just not good enough right now. I mean, the worst is yet to come.
There's a moment of darkness, and we understand that the outside world is going to get really loud right now. But the only thing I know in life is that when it gets dark and it gets hard, that you work and you point the finger at yourself and you look inward and you figure out, what can I do better in an individual standpoint?
I've been in the darkness. You got to go in there, make peace with it. Offensively, our goal has just got to be score 30. Doesn't matter what the other two sides are doing. You know, we have trust in our defense and teams. But if we're not scoring 30, we're underachieving. This offense can do that every single week.
Well, there is a darkness on the edge of town. There's no question. And that edge of town is you're not making the playoffs. Look, you know, to me, all these conversations about darkness, about being in this hole, they have to end up with winning a game, making critical plays when you need to make critical plays. And I don't know how Greg Zuerlein is still your kicker. Does anybody watch the games?
Oof.
He's the most inaccurate kicker in the National Football League this year, not even close. Chad Ryland has made the Cardinals a better team when they added him on their team. I mean, Carlson made the 49ers a better team when they added him on their team. Like, you're going to keep going with Zuerlein? Every time I thought about making the Jets play, I thought, to me, the kicker's horrendous. You can't count on him. He missed more kicks yesterday. He misses an extra point. How is he still employed? Oh, I know, because he's a vested veteran, and you can't really cut him unless it costs you money. So, look, that darkness is going to keep getting darker. And what I would say to most Jet fans is, and I don't say this to be cavalier about it, is they haven't even seen the darkest point yet. I mean, the worst is yet to come. And it's going to continue to happen because you've built your team, you've built this whole organization around a 41-year-old. You've done everything for him. And guess what happened? Father Time has won. Father Time has won. He's not the same player. That just goes along with it naturally. You trade for Devontae Adams so you could have, average 10 yards a catch? I mean, tell me what move you're making that really has improved the team. We won't hear from Joe Douglas. He's in the darkness. So to me, it's only going to get darker.
That was a pretty good assessment right there of where the Jets are, Michael. Okay, the Bengals, they get trounced in the second half at home yesterday to the Eagles. Joe Burrow says, hey, everybody relax. We're going to be just fine. Michael, Zac Taylor is walking into your offense. Your advice, sir?
Zach, you better not relax because the biggest problem is you because your team is so soft. Look, I learned this a long time ago when I watched Sean Payton down in New Orleans. Sean Payton was soft, but he also had Bill Parcells in his life. And there was a time where Sean Payton would run Y-stick to get first downs on 3rd and 3. He would run spacing on 3rd and 3. But then he realized, I'm not beating anybody being soft. I got to get physical. I've got to find a run game to complement what I do. Meanwhile, you've gone the opposite direction. You've got nothing but nickel running backs on your team. You let Joe Mixon walk, who gave you some physicality. Look, I didn't think Mixon was good last year either. I thought he lost his legs. But I think what I misevaluated on Joe Mixon last year was you, because you don't coach tough. Your team isn't tough. You got a really good defense coordinator, Lou Anarumo, but that defense stinks because you probably don't practice hard enough. You probably don't do the things you need to do to make your team more physical. And teams have caught up with you. You just can't beat teams with receivers and playing a 7-on-7 game. At what point are you going to decide football's a contact sport? You want to win the 7-on-7 tournament? Go ahead. You ain't winning anything the way you're going.
Plus $1.10 to still make the playoffs, Bengal backers. I'm not one of those people. Bears, great fourth quarter comeback, and then we've got the Hail Mary, and you get victory just ripped away from you. Matt Eberflus is now walking into your office. Michael, what do you say on a day like today?
Well, what I would say is there's nothing you could do about it other than learn. I mean, this is a great opportunity. The first thing I would do is I would call the young man, Stevenson, into my office, and I would tell him, I'm not playing you until you earn the trust back on the team. You put him back on the field again, and basically you're telling the team you're allowing it to happen. You're allowing his stupid behavior to affect the team. Now he was doing it the whole game. He got a penalty during the game. He and McLaurin got into it. It was him all the way enticing people. For me, I think you've got to do something. You're going to have to show an example on Stevenson and get him off the field. I don't care if you drafted him in the second round. I don't really care about any of that. This is about the culture of the team. And then secondly, I think you better really go over situational football because you clearly didn't have the right setup. You had no one behind it. The players didn't know what they were doing. Watch the sideline tape. Caleb Williams is out there coaching players like he would know what to do. Like, seriously, what's Caleb Williams talking about? Coaches coach, players play. And it really wasn't organized. And I think you have no one to blame but yourself. The play before, you allowed them to get 12 yards freely when they couldn't really throw the ball. I mean, if you just jam the receivers, look, what do you want to do on that play? You want to make sure that the clock winds down. Tackle the receiver. They'll call a defensive penalty. They only move the ball 5 yards on defensive holding. It's not pass interference. So you move them 5 yards, they would have never made it to the end zone. The ball didn't make it to the end zone. Situational football has not been the strength of the Chicago Bears, and you need to work on it.
3 timeouts, but at least he still has all of those. I like what you said earlier, Kodak. Just take a picture, see what that offense is going to do, and then maybe readjust your defensive alignment before that Hail Mary. Okay, Colts, another tough loss. They lose by 3. Hey, you get the money if you bet the Colts yesterday, but you don't get a win. Anthony Richardson looks like and feels like still a project at this point. Michael, Shane Steichen is entering your offense. What's your advice for Shane?
Shane, your job is to win. Your job is to win. And the player who gives you the best chance to win is Joe Flacco. Now, if you want to develop Anthony Richardson for the future, that's great. But all you're doing is hurting the other 52 guys in the locker room. Everybody knows Flacco's the better player. It's not even debatable. Anthony Richardson and his 10 completions ain't going to cut it. Now, maybe you should integrate him into the game at some point. That's great. But to me, I think you got to come up with a new plan. You start Flacco. You find a little package for Richardson. You make him have to defend it. You maybe rotate it in. But when the game's on the line, you better put Flacco in there because this kid's not ready to play. And the scariest part about Anthony Richardson is I haven't seen him improve one bit. We saw the Utah game. He looked like he should have won the Heisman when he played Utah versus Florida. The next week against Mississippi State or whomever, he was horrible, just like he is here. 10 completions aren't going to cut it the last time I checked. Now, he needs to play. I get that. But he can't be costing you wins. And between him and Gus Bradley, there's no answer for either one.
Dallas Cowboys are under 500. They're 3-4. They lose a tough one last night, Sunday Night Football. Jerry Jones said infamously before this season, they're all in. Cowboys are all in. Jerry's walking into your office here on a Monday, Michael. What do you have to say to the owner of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, look, I think to me, what you have to do is make a decision. Did this decision you made to not extend everybody after your unhappiness with the Cowboy game was the Packer game was the right decision? But I will say this to you. You're going to have to get better personnel. Whoever you bring in is going to have to increase the talent level of the team because right now you've got a couple really good players. Obviously Dak's not going anywhere. CeeDee Lamb's not going anywhere. You're going to re-sign Parsons. But the most important thing is you're going to have to improve the talent level. You're just not good enough right now. And I think that falls on you as a general manager, and I think you have to accept responsibility. You haven't lost these games because you've been outcoached. You've lost these games because the other team's better.
By the way, I love that analysis because I know the knee-jerk today is, fire Mike McCarthy. But really, this doesn't fall on Big Mike. It's more on Jerry in the front office.
Yeah, I think to me, you have to, to me, Jerry had one of the worst off seasons of anybody. And it isn't because, he didn't spend any money. It's because he didn't address any themes.
Right.
He could have he needed a running back. I mean, Zeke, it's a great story to reunite with Zeke. I love it. But Zeke's a short yardage back. He can't be the back. And if you're going to try to take you can't throw the ball as many times as Dak's throwing it and think you're going to win. You got to control the pace of the game. And that offensive line isn't good enough to pass block 50 times a game.
Zeke had the longest run of the season for him, 11 yards yesterday. And we're kicking the tires on Dalvin Cook. That's what the Cowboys are right now with that running game.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at zero cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.